In studio now with two members of the women's basketball team at Lakeland College, Jaden Cook and Brianne Hergott, coming off of what I'm sure must have been a very exhausting trip back from Paris, France. You guys were there for basically a whole week, not counting the amount of time it spent getting to France and then getting back to Canada.
Yeah, I don't know if I really realized how much it was going to take out of you, getting there, you kind of get going and you're like, oh, not really realizing, but now I'm definitely feeling it.
Yeah. And so you guys were delayed as well when you came back, correct? You were stuck in the airport at one point?
We had a longer layover from Toronto to Edmonton, and it just kept getting pushed back.
We ended up staying in Edmonton on Saturday night and having to drive home Sunday morning. Just that extra time was we just want to get home.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be frustrating. Although obviously lots of opportunity to bond as a team. Maybe in some respects you guys were sick of each other by the end of it, but you probably learned more than a few things about each other.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, getting to experience everything with 10 or whatever with your teammates is pretty unreal.
Yeah.
And do you have any particular highlights of that as a group or individually? Because obviously you got to see the Eiffel Tower, you saw a professional basketball game there, you competed against some high-level teams. What sticks out for you individually?
I think there was one last day where we all spent together, and it was the best day ever, I think, in my opinion, when we were there, because we got to see the Eiffel Tower together, go figure out downtown, walk around, and then we had to convene our way to watching our pro basketball game. And
I was gonna say, just having to maneuver around the city was pretty entertaining. The first few days we kind of had Chris with us, and he was helping, or we were in smaller pockets and we knew where we were going, but we had to take a cab and a transit, and we were late and lost, and people running into train doors, and it was just, those are all great memories though.
And that's obviously a very big city, so I know you guys have spent time in places like Calgary, Edmonton for playing.
Yeah.
Neither of you are from big areas though, correct? So what was it like being in a city this huge?
Definitely different, I think.
It is different, and then using the transit was a big thing, especially in a different language. So you really, if you're unsure, it's a little scary, but yeah, it was really cool.
And people from different, we have Aussies, we have Bill Gay who's from Europe, we have people from Humboldt, we have people from all over, so it just having to, everyone wants to try and help is just, it was a whole thing.
It would probably been a different experience if you went by yourself, obviously, then.
Yeah,
for sure.
So.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't have enjoyed it as much.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think I would have been scared if I was by myself.
And on the basketball side, productive trip, I assume?
Yeah, really good compete level for us, I think.
I think we got a lot out of our last two games.
For sure.
They were really talented, and I think it was really good competition, especially going into the next 3 weeks of our season, kind of getting out those kinks and working on things that we wouldn't get out of our own practice.
Yeah, getting closer to that playoff mark. Yeah.
And so that's an interesting way to use your bye week, obviously, because most other teams just essentially rest and get healthy, but you guys played 3 games in a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely different.
Yes.
I think it's good though, we still would have been practicing. Chris doesn't like to give us too much time off, so that was a cool way to, I guess, utilize that time off.
Absolutely. What coach does like giving his or her team time off. And then you guys also obviously got to enjoy some of the culinary aspects of France. Was there a particular shop or a dish that you'll take with you and never forget?
Our last night we had a really fancy expensive meal, and Brie and I were let's get I was I'll get steak, and she got this what'd you get?
It's carpaccio.
It was this thinly sliced steak, and we were oh, it's gonna be so good, and then it wasn't as good as we thought it was gonna be. But I think for the most part the food was really good.
It was, and yeah, I think Torian Pipes got snails.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I didn't eat any, but they look so interesting.
Look really gross.
Some very high class dining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was good.
And now you guys can translate this into a week where you've been sort of jet lagged. You were saying off camera that you basically slept from 9 to 9 the other day. How do you take that difference in terms of your training times and stuff, and now go into a week where you still have to play a good team in Augustana?
I think we just need to be really focused when we are in our training sessions, get what we need to get out of that hour and a half, and then we can kind of focus on resting up in the other 23 hours of the day, but really dial in.
For 2 hours every day, and then you can do whatever you want. Usually sleep now, but yeah, we have to focus on practice for sure now.
Last question, quick. What's the last thing you guys need to tweak? Because you guys have obviously played good basketball this season, but you haven't peaked yet, which is generally a good thing. What's the one thing that you can still do to peak as a group?
I think just really like focusing in on like ourselves. Like I think we get kind of lost in terms of like who we're playing sometimes, and I think like we're talented. We know what we need to do. Like we've been in this spot the last few years, so I think really just like zoning in on our talents and our like
I think if we lock down on defense, that'll be a big thing, and then just focusing on our advantages and just our game really.